We are back.
Again, another Thursday.
Another Thursday, it's 4 o'clock.
It's 4 o'clock. We are back on the happy hour. This is the best show in real estate.
I mean, the best. I mean, we're kind of, as we always say, what does it say?
We're kind of a big deal.
We're kind of a big deal.
That's it.
I mean, wow.
And we got our lead-in song today is the Grateful Dead Touch of Grey. Now, that's going to be highlighting a little bit of, or foreshadowing, if you will, to our stock picks of the day, okay?
What do you think that means?
Really interesting stuff there.
I think, hey, I'll give them a clue. It can go with the Grateful Dead or fish.
Or fish, either one. So, and I want to bring up now while I got your attention. We have we're gonna have a first-time homebuyer class tonight at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. All right.
Absolutely.
So
well,
just letting everybody know we're there. Let's see. Let's get everything dialed in.
Yeah, we're trying to dial everything in. There we go. All right. Hey, football last week.
Man, I was awful. Okay.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie to you. My picks were terrible. I was.
Hey, I called Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech had a terrible day. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, I feel sorry for you,
Pitt beat us straight up, and that wasn't good. So this week, Clemson will be looking good because that's who we got. But
well, I'm telling you something. Here's a funny thing. It pains me to say this, what I'm about to tell you. You ready? Because my grandfather's going to be in his grave, turning over. Alabama may be the best team I've ever seen. At the college level. I mean,
call your Swecker.
I mean,
just put it
killing
out
me.
there.
Killing me. I mean, this team is wow.
They are lights out. And let me tell you something. We went down to the Plains this past weekend to watch the Auburn Tigers take on LSU.
Bless you.
Heartbreaker. Okay.
Oh, it was a heartbreaker.
It was 700 degrees.
Oh, so you're worried about it really being a heartbreaker?
And it was upsetting. But listen, it was a nail biter. LSU, come on, pulled off the last second field goal.
Coach O,
man,
right?
I even had Brady standing up cheering for the Auburn Tigers.
Hey, they're a good team. I'm just telling you, I don't know if Auburn covers minus 35 against Alabama. They can flat out score.
They're ridiculous.
And anybody knows me knows that's huge because I hate Alabama.
Killed Ole Miss.
I mean, wow, man. Hey,
killed Ole Miss.
Hey, I talked to your son the other day. You know what he told me? He told me you're buying him one of the new $1,100, $1,200 iPhones.
No way, man. I tell you, we just got this crazy iPhone X about 6 or 8 months ago.
Sorry,
man. And I saw these iPhones. Our pick of the week last week, AMD, a stock pick of the week last week, is a provider for these things.
Chips.
512 gigabytes. What do you do on your phone that you need 512 gigs?
Well, taking a lot of pictures and a lot of video, right? Obviously.
Amazing.
It's huge. But, I mean, look at these prices. You know what's really interesting is that if anybody didn't recognize that the marketing team over at Apple, as they've launched this, has really taken a different turn. For years, if you know the delivery times, they'll announce it in the 1st of September and then a week later, they'll deliver. Well, what they were doing is they would deliver the cheapest phones first, and then a month from then start delivering on the more expensive ones. This time around, they're doing it the complete opposite because they know that the number of folks that will just go, we'll settle and just take the $750 model.
Yeah.
Which God knows, that's expensive.
Amazing.
But they're going to wait a month before they release the cheaper one. And so it's a different approach that they've taken. It'll be really interesting to see.
Well, I just can't believe how expensive phones are. I mean, to think about spending this much money on something like a phone. Now, phones have become
the computer
completely different. But thank you, buddy. Completely different things now. But
no, it really is. I mean,
expensive.
if you're in our business, although you still own some, I don't know what that thing is. But
now this is the Google.
Oh, is that Google?
Yeah, this is the Google Pixel.
The Google.
Yeah.
No, but I'm telling you,
great American company.
It's a great product, though, right? But the question is it a $1,000 product?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, somebody's buying it. A lot of people are buying it, and you can see that Apple's been killing it with the phones, and they continue to.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, my 9-year-old Julia, if anybody knows her, she knows she's a little crazy sometimes, but she's saving her money for her iPhone. She's got $27.
She's on her way.
Yeah, we went in the Apple store the other day, and she was asking the lady on her own, So what's it take to get one of these things? And the lady said, about $800.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I can fold towels. I was like, it's going to be a lot of towels.
Well, man, today we got a lot of good stuff today. We are going to be hitting on the first citizen to the moon. Talking a little bit about Brett Kavanaugh, huh?
I mean, this story is getting nuts.
Brett Kavanaugh, you know, I tend to steer away from politics, but Collier does not.
Well, well, the funny thing is, we tried to steer clear of this topic at all for the show, but
yeah,
it's something people are talking about it.
Yeah, we're going to hit on redemption bonds and foreclosures, something that we need buyer beware almost. Home prices. And some stock picks, some college picks, and things like that.
That's what everybody's waiting on. So we're going to keep them waiting until the end, all right?
Yeah, they love the stock picks and the college football picks.
Well, tell me about Elon Musk and going to the moon.
Man, this is amazing. So if you're not familiar, Elon Musk was the founder of Tesla. He's also started another company called SpaceX. He did something before this. I think it was related to PayPal. I'm not positive on that.
It is.
He made a ton of money. Doing great with Tesla. Obviously, a visionary. Okay, I did some studying on Elon Musk. Crazy individual.
He likes smoking weed.
Apparently, yeah. We're going to talk about that. But he, used to sleep on the couch in his office.
Right. That's right.
So insane work ethic. Did get recently. September 7th was on a podcast smoking weed, drinking whiskey. A couple of executives quit the same day.
They did.
So now he's got his first paying customer.
To go where?
To go to the moon. It's going to be a trip around the moon.
Absolutely.
42-year-old Yasaka Masawa. He's a Japanese billionaire, the CEO of fashion retailer Zozo.
Now, Amanda hadn't found that one yet.
It was mentioned that he paid millions. So we're not sure the price, but I think this is the first paying customer to go to space.
Well, it's going to be interesting, that if he can pull this off.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if anybody doesn't know, SpaceX and what's the other one called? One of the other
it was a solar
private company. Well, what they're doing right now is they're helping NASA get the supplies up to the International Space Station, that sort of thing.
So SpaceX has been testing rocket launching. Okay, so they've been testing space travel. And so this trip is scheduled in 2023. The Japanese billionaire, we don't know how much he paid, but he's going to be inviting 6 to 8 other people, artists, guests.
I mean, hold on. So, you mean to tell me I'm all about sending a dog up? I think I'm sending a dog before I send me up.
Right?
And it's kind of cool.
And when he comes to you and asks you if you want to go, okay, A, how do you turn it down? And B, how do you say yeah?
I mean, yeah.
I'm taking some risks there.
I mean, I get it. I mean, you're lighting a candle under you and going up into. I mean, it's gonna be tough. And the question is it a good use of his money? Not Elon Musk, but this other guy. I mean,
well, I tell you the rocket, 348-foot tall rocket that they're using is the same one they're planning to send up to 100 people at a time to Mars.
100 people to Mars.
The long-term plan is sending people to Mars, 100 people at a time.
Man, can you imagine Mars? I mean. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, let's just dive in. I know we're going to get into the real estate stuff, but everybody, we try to hit on what our viewers have asked us to talk about a little bit. And this Brett Kavanaugh thing, man, I'm telling you, we have lost our ever-loving mind, folks. I mean, the idea that what I did in high school, I don't even want to know what you did in high school, right? I mean, as my wife told me the other day, there's not a man in America that didn't catcall or say a good girl was hot, good looking, or something in high school. Now, and as a lawyer, I can tell you, although there's no statute of limitations up there, doesn't sound like much of a crime was committed. But the idea that they wait to the 11th hour to spring this on
now wasn't this guy already successful before he got nominated?
Oh, absolutely. He's been vetted 6 times by the FBI with deep background checks, very high-level clearance from the Bush administration and them. And again, I'm not passing. If he did something to this woman, by all means, right? But the only problem they have is that both of the witnesses that she brought up now say, you know what? Don't remember.
I just question the timing. Why is it coming up now? Why couldn't this have come up before. And I understand this is a touchy subject. And also, in full disclosure, I have not read a lot of the articles about it. I don't know a whole lot about it. But why the timing? Why is it coming up now?
Well, and this idea, we got to get over this in this country where, you have a fundamental right to, when you're accused of doing something wrong, to be face to face with your accuser and make them prove that you did it. That's just embedded in our Constitution, that you have a right to face the person that says you did something. And this woman seems to think, her name is Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. Again, I respect her in the sense that she's a potential victim, but she's got to cooperate with the way our process works.
Exactly. You can't just throw rocks and then hide. Right? So this says he was 17, she was 15 at the time.
The Alabama Hammer says that, and then that is all. No. I mean, I have never seen it. And, there's even talk about, this whole thing they keep talking about the FBI needs to investigate. The FBI is right on this in that what they're saying is we don't have jurisdiction here.
Yeah, they can't go back and pull.
We're not the local law enforcement.
We don't have transcripts of his life at 17.
Yeah, and not only that, do you want it? I mean, really? I mean, everybody's admitting they were drunk. If it happened.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think he does. But she doesn't know where it happened or when it happened. I have a little problem with the idea you don't know the where, when. You just know the who, and you happen to be from an opposite party, all that stuff. We're not passing political judgment here. It's just saying that, man, oh, man, if we're going to go back to high school, the Alabama Hammer's in trouble. I mean, although he'll just come out with a commercial and whap you.
Yeah, it seems like a stretch, but...
And Joe Soma wants us to dive in that. Yeah. Let's see. What's Mike saying there?
We can get
we're trying to get to you.
Yeah, so we can get the FBI to
That's funny.
Investigate her.
Slocum. And it's a false memory they come up with. Well, anyway, so, there's a criminal law professor. These guys, Joe Soma and them, were in my law school class with me.
Yep.
And everybody remembers from law school, there's only 3 things that matter. And what are they? The facts, the facts,
and the facts.
And the facts. Right?
And so if you can't be there to dictate the facts...
You know what? You're not guilty, and we need to understand that. And we're getting to a point in this country where we can't have normal dialogue with people without just...
Yeah, as soon as they are put in the spotlight to take any glory,
that you can say something and that person can't defend themselves is the thing. And again, if the facts show that this guy did anything, by all means, as Joe Summer would say about his friend, lock him up, right? But anyway, let's move on to real estate and a little bit happier topics.
Yeah,
now that you know where we are.
So we got, I had this happen this week, redemption bond on a foreclosure. And for those that don't know, I just want to remind the buyers out there.
What is it? Hold on, let's backtrack a little bit. So we're talking in a limited situation of foreclosure.
Yeah, so in the situation of a foreclosure, in the state of Alabama, in most states you have a right of redemption. So the foreclosed party has a right or a period of time to go back and redeem the property. Now they're typically going to have to pay the cost of the foreclosure, the price that the party paid at foreclosure, okay, plus any legal fees and things like that. There's other details there. But anyway, Alabama has a 12-month right of redemption, one of the only 12-month right of redemptions in the country.
Well, that's correct. That's great. And they've changed some of the laws.
Yeah.
Related to property that was bought recently. But the problem with that is it's 6 months on, but people haven't foreclosed on those properties yet.
Right. So when you're dealing with this, and we dealt with a lot in when we went through those wave of foreclosures and then reselling these foreclosures, so we saw it often. And so now you don't see it quite as often. So some people are still getting tripped up by it. So the right of redemption, needing the redemption bond means that you are selling the house for more than the foreclosure deed price.
Yes. So in other words, that if the person came back and redeemed, there's a gap in there between what was owed and the way they would redeem the property.
Right.
and the amount you paid.
Right. And so without this redemption bond, the title company is not going to insure the right of redemption. They're not going to insure against the party coming back to redeem the property.
And one of the biggest things you can take from this is that the redemption bond, we hear about it all the time related to foreclosure, but it does not protect the actual owner. It protects the bank, because they now can get a title policy.
Yeah, and there's a couple of examples we're going to look at to help you understand this a little bit better. But in my opinion, the need for a redemption bond is a part of the sale. Okay, so you should know as the seller that whatever offer I take, I may or may not need this redemption bond.
Right.
It should not be left to sprung on the buyer as a surprise. The buyer is unknowing. So that's why I'm saying the buyer beware on a foreclosure. Look into this. Find the foreclosure deed as the first step.
And you might be asking yourself, hey, how much is that foreclosure deed? And it's 1% of the purchase price generally, and there's not many of these insurance companies that sell it. So don't go to your local farmer's agent and expect to see it. You need to go, there's a couple in every city that sell it.
So you're talking about 1%. Yeah, they did just change that. We talked about that. So that's on purchases now.
That's purchases that were originated after 2016, I believe, January 1st. So in other words, we haven't seen many of those mortgages come to fruition with the foreclosure
or get foreclosed on. So let me give you a couple examples. So if we have a foreclosure price of $85,000, okay, that's what my buyers now. I'm sorry, that's the foreclosure deed, $85,000.
Okay.
So the buyer purchases the property for $90,000. Okay, but they're putting 20% down, so our loan amount is $72,000. Well, we're underneath the foreclosure price of $85,000. So as the lender, we don't require the redemption bond
because you don't care about the consumer relative to the redemption bond.
Well, the title insurance for us is going to insure our loan.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? So the difference between that 85 and 90 that the buyer paid, that money would be at risk in the case that the foreclosed party comes back and redeems the property.
And you know, one of the big things you may be asking yourself is what constitutes, I thought I got all the money back that I put into it, because a lot of agents say that. They say, don't worry about it, just improve, right? You will get back at redemption anything that basically kept the property together. In other words, did you have to have a kitchen floor because there was none?
Yeah, was the roof at the end of its lifetime?
And you put one on, you'll get reimbursed those monies at redemption. However, I've seen people want to put swimming pools in and just really blow it out. We say wait till the end of that redemption period before you do any of those things, because guess what? As a lawyer, necessary repairs is what Joe's saying. As a lawyer and as a realtor, I had never seen it until 2 years ago. You know that old saying, that rich uncle? Well, the rich uncle struck in in a deal we had, and here comes the sheriff showing up, telling these nice young couple, guess what they got? Kicked out of your house that you paid for.
Because you got redeemed.
They got redeemed.
And I tell you, it's very rare. It's very rare that it happens, but it's possible, and that's why you've got to be protected in the case that it does happen.
But again, it's not protecting the consumer; it's protecting the ability for them to get that loan. Though, it's been eye-opening to me that I don't know if they even offer it to the consumer. Do you know?
I believe they do. I believe you can get that separately.
As a rider.
Yeah.
Well, and plus most of these people that are doing it, though, are very low margin, getting very low margin loans with you guys. In other words, they're putting 3% down.
Right.
Where it's not going to matter anyway.
Yeah, so the example we're dealing with this week, $45,000 foreclosure price. The buyer's purchasing the house for $80,000. Okay? So we got a foreclosure price of $45,000. The buyers paying $80,000, and they're financing most of that.
Right, absolutely.
So in that case, we would have needed a redemption bond. However, the seller wrote an indemnity agreement. So basically,
indemnify against
and
that was
cost.
Okay?
Yes.
Well, see, that's interesting, because what we're finding, though, is that the seller needs to be counseled. Or if you're selling, go ahead and factor that in, especially if you're a flipper. Make that a cost of doing business, is that you know you're going to have to provide that redemption bond. Because when you're selling to the end user, that person that's buying it to live in it, that may be a smaller house, their first home, they're not going to have the money at the 11th hour And not only that,
Exactly.
you guys have factored in based on typical normal closing costs, and $1,000 may tip the scale and then the deal not happening.
Yeah, on a $100,000 house, it's $1,000 for this redemption bond. And, you know, if this is a thing that, let's say, blows it up, right? Because the buyer can't afford this, then it would be in my... if I had anything tear up a deal like this, then I would try to avoid that at all costs in the future, right? So if I'm a seller and I have a foreclosure, I would look at every possible red flag, which a redemption bond is a red flag.
Oh, absolutely.
Deal with it up front.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, Joe talks about their redemption rights are marketable. In other words, you can buy the redemption rights from someone, and obviously you could redeem it. I've said for a long time, the smartest ones that could redeem it are the second lien holders. The second mortgage company are the ones that should, because they're the ones, if anybody gets screwed in these transactions,
second mortgage holder does.
Right? They're the ones that have the best. Now,
they're the ones
they're
that don't
too
get
big
paid
to
off.
do it.
Yeah.
They're too big to make this happen, but they're the ones that could benefit the most.
And it's not simple. It's not like a second mortgage holder has a division that's set up to purchase homes and manage the repurchase and the sale, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, how often are y'all? I mean, you know, one of the biggest things, I don't know. We got some folks on here from the Auburn area of Alabama, but I don't know. Here we're so low on the foreclosures right now, so we're not seeing.
Yeah, we're not seeing it near as
lot
much
right now.
and I think that could be why it's popping up. But you know, I go back to I just feel like the listing agent and the seller. Obviously, a lot of times it's going to be, you know, HUD, it's going to be Fannie Mae, it's going to be a bank. So again, I put that back on the listing agent, saying you're the professional, you know the business.
They
right?
need to. They really need to. The listing
and-
agent needs to go ahead and tell the guy they're going to pay it. War Eagle to that has to be Wes, not his wife.
Leslie,
It's really Wes.
Michelle, good to see you.
Here we go. Joe Summer is saying, let's see more. There we
Find
go.
a foreclosure offer from 1,000 or 2,000 to buy the redemption rights. The way on the redemption rights,
Let's
nobody
see.
can come in, and you are. I've done that
Ha!
before.
Yeah. Well, Moneybags. He's the only. Let's see. So, and I've done that
Buy
before.
the redemption rights
yeah.
out.
Yeah, and
All
Joe's a smart guy. He's a big Hillary Clinton fan.
And nobody can foreclose. Okay.
Yeah. Man. Well, talk about Fannie Mae though. You talked about Fannie Mae.
Yes, yeah, the Fannie Mae did. They wrote the indemnity clause, and now you can go back if you missed it. You can go back and I was talking to another real estate agent last night about this same problem, and you know, companies like HUD, all right, that own a lot of these foreclosures, they are typically not very flexible on paying for this, but sometimes Fannie Mae might entertain paying for this after the fact if the buyer wants to go ask them to pay for it.
Well, and I think again that's a very good lesson for everybody. Is the deal's never done, because I say you can ask. Now, I'm a firm believer in that a contract's a contract, but you can always ask.
Yep.
And once you're at the closing table, let's not change anything there, right? Because things can go haywire. But hey, we're going to talk about home prices over the last 5 years. CoreLogic, one of the big real estate researcher firms, came out and learned that over the last 5 years, that home prices among the lower income housing grew at a 48% pace nationwide.
Wow.
And then on the high end, like the Alabama Hammer, 25%. So, I mean, wow, what growth over 5 years.
5 years.
Yes,
But it would make sense that the lower priced goods grow more.
Absolutely.
Right? Grow at a greater proportion.
Yeah. Hey, Howard, just so you know, he really is the complete opposite of that. That's why it's fun, Governor. Congratulations on your big engagement, Howard. Richmond, congratulations.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, big guy getting hitched.
All right. Congratulations, Howard. Good to hear.
Yeah. Anyway, they talked about in the CoreLogic study, they did talk about the fact that the low inventory fueled a ton of that. You know, and plus people at that low end were really getting deals when the market turned. People flew money in there, and it was natural that some of that
price appreciation would be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, you know, they also looked at over 100 economists regarding this, and they said, where are we going over the next 5 years? And what they found was that on average, they said that about 20% growth over the next 5 years. Wow, I'm floored.
And that's averaged out over all price points.
Overall price points.
So it's going to be a good bit less. It's going to be less than half of what we've had the last 5 years. But I think you can see in any economic discussion that these are the types of things that happen when you're coming out of a recession, right? The Great Recession of 2008. Things are going to grow, and then there's got to be a time where things cool off.
Well, and what's really interesting is they talk about even the bears, the guys that said the market is not going to do well over the next 5 years, still say there'll be growth of 10%.
Yeah, and it should be comforting to most people, most homeowners, and people in the real estate business, renters out there thinking about buying a house, is that real estate is still going to appreciate, even though we've come through a great period of time in the business.
Well, we have. And if you're wondering about what they said, by the end of this year, cumulatively throughout the year, they're saying home prices nationwide about 19.5% over the course of the year. And, this is not in Alabama, obviously, because Alabama's growing more with the Bears. But that's pretty apropos, isn't it? The Bears with Bear Bryant. You get it? Funny.
Bears loving this.
But the good news is that folks are getting more equity in their homes, and it's good for them.
Yeah,
because they're able to do something.
Yeah, that'll help. And I think based on what we've come out of recently, I think savings rates are also going to be higher. I think just more better decisions financially overall coming out of what we've seen the last 10 years.
Well, and I think another thing that we need to talk about, though, is the amount of home equity that folks are building right now, right? Because a lot of folks are sitting back. We've talked about it. Let's see. Talk what Howard has to say.
Yeah, appreciation does usually go across all price ranges equally. Yeah, I think that's what we talked a little bit about, is that that it's not going to go equally across all price ranges, right? I think that the top end is going to be a little bit less. The numbers we had, the lower end was 48%, the bottom was 20-something. So I think you're going to see the lower price ranges appreciate a little bit more.
And to put it in perspective for those of you in Birmingham, one of the problems that we're running into, Howard, is that you got areas, say, in the back of Greystone where a generation, my parents' generation, they're in their upper 60s, baby boomers, I guess you'd want to call them. They bought into a market where they wanted a big house on a bigger lot, all this, all these trimmings that went with it. Mm-hmm. The problem that we're seeing is that a lot of these folks have children and their children that don't want these big houses. So there's a whole generation that comes in and goes, you know what? I like smaller lots, not as quite as big of a house. And so the problem is they built these in mass, and there's not enough people to absorb that inventory, right?
Right.
Which in some ways retards that price growth. Right, because if you have more on the market, you're naturally going to see a growth.
And that's going to be a problem on the upper end.
Yes,
you typically where you would see issues with demand is going to be on the upper end.
Yeah, and we're going to see that here in Birmingham a good bit, I think, as they come along here. But one of the things about this is that now, let's see, who is let's see. Atom Data Solutions. I always want to credit everybody, but they've come out and said that 25% of all homes that have a mortgage, so 25% of all American homes that have a mortgage have over 50% equity. Right?
25% have over 50%, okay?
All right. That is a fantastic statistic. That means lives are going to be changed. But, I say that we're getting back to where we should have been, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that, and that's on average, because then, like everything else, there's Alabama, right? See what happens with the motion detected lights. Anyway, in Alabama, that number is 10% lower. It's at 15%. So 15% of all mortgages have over 50% paid down against the current value of the home.
In Alabama.
In Alabama. Now, some of the bigger states, of course, California, 43%, 22% in Florida.
Yeah, and I think that goes to a little bit back to what we talked about last week, which is the mindset and being a little more cautious, a little more financially responsible.
Well, I think you taught me this. As we revert back over the next, I would say, after we get through any lull we have, when we're coming back out of it, you taught me this was that I started at high 5, 6, but I was on a 30-year loan. But when rates go down, we switched to a 20-year loan, but kept the same payment. Right?
Yeah, instead of just dropping the rate and staying on a 30-year, going back to a 30-year.
Absolutely. And then when it dropped a little bit more, you said, hey, let's do it again. Because you made a little more money. But I made a little more money because you know why? I calculated the other day, I'm $50,000 since 2011 to the good of where in the amount of equity that I paid down. And guess what my payment was? The exact same payment.
So you got ahead without having to manage it at all because we cut the term. So you didn't have to think, let me put a little bit extra every month.
No.
You just kept making the same payment.
Absolutely. And what I'm saying is that was life-changing for us because now if we want another house, that's the difference in, well, I'm trying to keep her from, going too big.
Yeah. Wait till Julia gets a little bit older and she gets into all the talk.
Then she wants a car and all that mess. But,
yeah.
But anyway, so remember that step-down method. And oftentimes that is what's going to make the difference in your future relative to what a great savings plan because you can't spend your equity without doing something. You can't just go to the bank and take an ATM card unless you got some kind of HELOC. But
yeah,
real important.
And I think people are going to start staying in their homes longer during this stretch when rates are going up. It's going to be hard to talk people into dropping that 3.5 interest rate they might have had a few years ago and moving up to 5.5.
Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, Slocum's talking about the 50% in the market rather than in your house. Where would you be? That's a good point. The question is, that all comes down to how, there's risky. The question is, are you going to be smart with that investment?
Yeah, and there's diversification too, because having the money in real estate and having some money in the stock market is always a good place to be, because there's levels of risk. There are different returns. So in the market, especially in the last few years? Yeah, the last few years, the market has been killer, right?
Well, and in Slocum, this. There's so many people that kept saying, I'm going to hold out. I'm going to get in when the market turns again. Yeah. Well, you've missed the biggest bull run. I mean, we started touting, RCL, and, started on this show, we were talking about WWE at $35. I checked before we came in here today. WWE is sitting at $90 a share almost.
Well, I just think it's hard to have all of your money into one thing. So, sure, it would have been great to have another $50,000 in this recent stock market run. But also, what about over the next 5 to 10 years? We're not going to know. So it's always better to have things split up.
You've said it for a long time. And by the way, y'all can disagree with us on this. But, you've always said, if you can't pay down more than 50% of that house at certain times, right? If you can't pay it off fairly quickly, let's just go with the mortgage and hold back that money. Especially where rates were.
I'm always a fan of putting the money in the market, but having having enough of a down payment that makes sense for you, and then, putting money into the stock market. I think if you got time, again, you're going to make money in the stock market, and your house is going to go up in value or down in value, regardless of how much you owe.
Yeah, I'll let Slocum answer that question that just came. Slocum, answer that question that came in right before yours there from Howard. Yeah, I mean, what if you had a car accident and just got a world-class lawyer to chase the interest?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great investment. Don't go after the little dough. Go after the big buck.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Warren Buffett has stuff spread out. He's got money in real estate. He's got money in everything. So,
well, except his own house. I mean, the guy's living in the same house. Now, I mean, Berkshire Hathaway, the Class A shares
It's
are
only like 330,000.
Yep, Slocum likes them Berkshire Hathaway A's. I think.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway.
speaking of
Stock.
Warren Buffett and the stock market.
Hold on. Thinking about the Grateful Howard, we're coming right up your alley here. We're talking about the Grateful Dead.
So, listen, this is so I had a headline come across. The company is Tilray. Okay, some of you might have heard of them. TLRY.
And let me say this: I guarantee you, Warren Buffett is not going to be investing in Tilray.
No, he probably won't. But let me tell you a little bit about this company without telling you about the company first. So they just went public in July for $17 a share. Okay, so that's about...
Hold on, we're 2 months.
2 months in, okay? Yesterday, trading was halted 5 times. Okay, when you halt trading, that means typically the volatility, the price is jumping up and down so much that they stop the trading to protect people.
Absolutely.
Okay, because when you have big swings in a stock, day traders can really get in there and push things around.
And they're pumping and dumping.
And manipulate it and really steal money from the average person, right? So they halt trading 5 times Wednesday. Tuesday, remember, in July, $17. Tuesday, it closed at $150. Wednesday,
what a day.
Yesterday, it was swinging from $168 to $300.
And we're on the NASDAQ,
share.
Correct?
Yes,
I believe the
so.
NASDAQ. So we're not talking a penny stock here, folks.
So this is 850% gain in 2 months.
And let's talk about what caused this run up. It was on Mad Money. Booyah!
Yeah.
So let
me tell you what the company does now before we get to that. It was on Mad Money, but it's a Canada-based pharmaceutical company.
Pharmaceutical.
And it's all medical cannabis. Okay? So
medicinal. So we're not talking recreational.
Yeah, medicinal cannabis. Right. So the CEO was on Mad Money suggesting that cannabis pharmaceuticals could replace painkillers and prescription opioids. Now, everybody knows there's been a big opioid addiction in the country. I had somebody today tell me that they were driving through Michigan, and Michigan had a billboard promoting an EpiPen so you could help someone going through an opioid seizure.
It's crazy. I mean, it is an epidemic.
Billboard. So it's an epidemic, and the reason this thing is jumping up is because they're feeling like that medical marijuana can replace the opioids and the painkillers.
Well, it certainly is a play. I mean, there's a lot of money out there, and I get it if you don't want to put it part of your portfolio for social for other reasons. I get that. I mean, but we're gonna bring it up. We're gonna bring everything, man. We're gonna talk about every stock.
And if this is if there truly is a huge benefit in the medical community, I think it's definitely. I mean, look, you can't argue opioid addiction. I mean, it's obviously a problem, right? Painkillers and recreational use of painkillers is a problem.
Well, it's a major problem. I mean, all the and I forget the name of the drug. It's that all the police here in Birmingham at least carry to offset this.
Well, yeah,
Narcan.
Okay,
yeah.
So I just wanted to bring up the one thing that I did find. Obviously, this TLRY has really fluctuated a whole lot. MJ is an ETF that is based in the business. They have a lot of different things. So if you wanted to look at that, growth.
Hold on. So what you're saying is that you can buy a marijuana ETF?
Yeah, it's an ETF that's spread out in the sector.
How has that performed?
I only did a little bit of research on it today, and it's been pretty volatile the last month. I think that's driven by some of this excitement in TLRY.
Yeah, and like Howard says, for every share of stock, you get a thing of Fritos and a cupcake.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting story.
By the way,
bring it up.
Market up to over 200 points today. I mean, I'm telling you, all the economists are saying this Brett Kavanaugh stuff that will not shake this market. This market is here, and you know why? It's that these companies are truly profitable.
Yeah.
Right? The tax cuts have worked. Right? I love the idea of these companies on one hand are going, we hate Trump. And on the other hand are going, we're coming back. We're back, right?
Yeah. We're making money.
Yeah. But so, the market doesn't like to get too political, and profits do matter still. And
balance sheets matter.
It really does.
Dividends matter.
I mean, just look at what happened to Elon Musk, right? They did not. They reacted to a tweet that the idea that they could go private, they immediately reacted because it would affect their stock in a good way in that case. And then what's funny is right when he retracted that a week later, guess what the stock did? In other words, the folks that were planning on making a quick buck didn't. But some of the other ones, we talk about it every week. Thanks for jinxing the market. I'm selling short. Yeah, that's right. No, but RCL's still doing well. I mean, up 131. We talked about it here in the low 100s. Up now, up to nearly $132. Dropbox, you know what? As Darren James would say, Dropbox is a good buy for the long term, right? You don't like it, but I love it. And TRBCX, great if you want a steady play that takes its T-Row prices, blue chip fund. Check out TRBCX, great fund, well managed. They're averaging like 15% a year now. Worst year obviously was 08, and they're up about 14% on this year. So give that a look.
Well, football pick time.
Football picks.
All right, so
hey, hold on. John McMillan's here from Nebraska. Guess who I'm not picking this week?
Nebraska.
Not picking them.
They're playing a big game. They've got Michigan, I think. I'm not sure about that, John, if you know. Clemson and Georgia Tech. All right.
What's his line?
The line is 15.5. Clemson's favorite, of course.
Of course.
Now, we will make them look good. Maybe not as good as Alabama, but we'll make them look really good this week.
Really good?
Clemson will cover. Not so fast.
Not so fast. I mean, Clemson is notorious for playing down to their opponents at certain times. This is the game. Georgia Tech covers.
Well, I'll tell you, Georgia Tech is also notorious for playing one good game a year, sneaking up on a team they shouldn't. They won't beat them, but maybe they'll give them a game and beat the line.
This is one that's going to be really interesting, and it is in Tuscaloosa.
A&M versus Alabama. Brady says Clemson all the way, if not double. A&M, Alabama, I'll be at this one this week. I'm excited.
What are you going to every...
Hey, I do what I can.
Hey, you can sit with Mark Carlisle in his box.
A&M, man. Okay, Mark, I'll look you up there, buddy. Alabama.
Oh, you'll be looking up.
Alabama minus 26. Look, Alabama's covering.
Alabama's covering the best team I may have ever seen.
If they're not up by 26 at halftime, I'll be surprised.
It's not one, it's Tua. I like saying that.
Arkansas.
But I hate Tua.
Auburn. Auburn minus 30.
Look, Arkansas sucks. Auburn is a good team.
Auburn needs to play 60 minutes.
Yes, and the only thing in the way of Auburn being a great team is a guy by the name of Gus Malzahn. Auburn doesn't cover this week.
Won't cover.
They're not covering this week, but they're going to win big. They're going to win by more than 3 touchdowns.
All right, here's my favorite pick, only because this team is going to be madder than a Hornet. Is a Hornet?
I have a feeling you're going to be wrong
Kent
on
State
this one.
Versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 28.
The Golden Flashes.
Ole Miss is so mad. They scored 120 points in 2 weeks combined and then come back and score 7 against Alabama. They are madder than fire, and they are going to cover that.
They got the offense to do it. The MAC, man, I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, isn't this sad that we're sitting there going to an SEC school? But I'm telling you, the MAC has a way to do it. Just to be honorary to you,
You're taking Kent.
I got the hook, right? I have the hook of the half a point. So I'll let you win by 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns.
You can have it. And anyway, what games do y'all have? Are y'all excited about this week? Because, I mean, since we're kind of a big deal, y'all may want our opinion on this.
Run for their money. Rachel Kelly, Mark Carlisle calling 2 a time. Brady Eldridge is correcting Rachel Kelly, which I think is hilarious.
Is that unusual?
I don't know. But at 6 p.m. today, I'm going to be answering some questions from first-time home buyers, okay? It's a little bit first-time home buyer seminar, just some information that might help you if you are
That's exciting.
in the market, or if you know anybody looking in the next 6 to 12 months. Hey, it's free. You can sit in the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
Hanging out. Facebook Live. I'll be on my David Arnett Mortgage Bank page, so come see it over there at 6 p.m. in about an hour.
Absolutely. You'll be live. And let me say this, too. If you have not gone over to the Real Estate Happy Hour page, because, we're going to be switching here in a few weeks over to broadcasting from there. We hopefully have a new studio as well, right?
Oh, yeah. We're working on that, huh?
Yeah. Go over there and, click that little like button. Share this, please, please. Rachel, Kelly, share it. Everybody, share it.
Yes. You guys have a beautiful weekend, and hope your team wins.
Yeah, and we'll see you next Thursday,
4
o'clock. And thanks to everybody. Thank you, guys. We hope you all have a great week.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.